And good morning. Welcome to the Bright Side, friends. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. Our number today and every day, 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010. If you got questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you do that. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll get your calls in our next segment. We'll be talking to Mary Maduras, producer, director, and also spiritual and creative therapist at the bottom of the hour. And we'll get your calls in our next segment. If we have calls, 844-236-6010. If you want to purchase longevity products, you know where to go. BrightSideBen.com, PharmacistBen.com, or CriticalHealthNews.com. You can also call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470 for more information. Also ask about joining the Bright Side Ben team if you want to start a home-based business, if you're an entrepreneur or you like the entrepreneur lifestyle, if you want to be your own boss and work out of your home, have a home-based business, especially one in the world of nutrition. The longevity business opportunity is something that you at least want to take a look at. Check out or click on the Join the Team links at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Or if you want information, call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. All right, our number today, 844-236-6010. We'll get your calls in our next segment. We're talking about Butyrate, butyric acid. We spent a lot of time talking about this. There's so many benefits to this incredible molecule. Technically, a good fat, short chain fatty acid, and it is incredibly valuable for the colon, for the cells of the intestine, for digestive health. It's got lots of other benefits too. It's not just a digestive health supporting supplement or nutrient. You can use it as a supplement. You can use it. You can buy it as pills or as capsules off the internet. But the best way to get your butyrate is to feed your microbiome, feed your good bacteria fiber. By feeding your good bacteria fiber, by eating fiber, good bacteria secrete butyrate in response. We give the bacteria fiber. They give us butyrate. Butyrate's a feel-good molecule. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This is why it has so many different benefits, because it works neurologically. We know that the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest nervous system, is connected to how the heart works, how the vascular system works, how the immune system works, how the digestive system works, how the muscles work. Pretty much the entire body has connections to this parasympathetic nervous system, and anything that activates the parasympathetic nervous system is going to give you multiple benefits. You can think of butyrate as just a molecule of well-being. Turns on all the biochemical actions associated with well-being. Yesterday, we started to discuss the effects of butyrate on the immune system. Well-being and immunity go hand in hand. Well-being is associated with strong immunity. Stress is associated with decreased immunity. Butyrate is largely found in dairy foods. It's found in breast milk. It's a signaling molecule that supports the intestinal development of baby mammals as well as their immune system. Remember, the digestive system and the immune system go hand in hand. There are other feel-good molecules in milk, in breast milk, in mammals' milk, natural opioids, lactorphins, casmorphins. There's cannabinoids in breast milk, in mammals' milk, mother's milk, whatever you want to call it. And there's butyrate. All of these have calming effects, have growth effects, have immune-boosting effects, have healing effects. Butyrate's like lactoferrin, and butyrate supports lactoferrin. Butyrate, it supports glutathione. Milk supports immunity with lots of molecules. And butyrate also has building and anabolic effects. This is why athletes use it. And bodybuilders will use butyrate supplements. This is where the proponents of the carnivore diet, like Dr. Sean Baker, who's also a weightlifter, are missing out on. I've been trying to get Dr. Baker on the program. I'm still trying to get him on the program. He's very difficult to get a hold of. In his book, The Carnivore Diet, Dr. Baker tries to make the point that fiber is not required for good health. He makes this point on YouTube videos, and I've heard him a lot. It's not just him, but he's kind of a proponent for this idea that all you need is meat and you don't need plants. He says that they're not essential. And that may be true, except for vitamin C. I don't know how he gets around the vitamin C. That's essential, and there's no vitamin C in animal products. But his point is that you don't necessarily need to have plants. They're not essential. He talks a lot about fiber, but he basically talks a lot about plants not being essential. Now, that may be true, with, as I say, the exception of vitamin C, but plants do have polyphenols and flavonoids and carotenes that are incredibly valuable. Maybe not essential. Maybe they are essential. We don't know if they're not essential. They're not technically said to be essential, but they may very well be essential. Certainly, they're important, and you're going to have a problem getting these polyphenols if you're not eating vegetables. And then there's the whole issue of fiber. And Dr. Baker rips on fiber, or at least he rips on the idea that you need fiber. He says that shoving something completely indigestible into our digestive tract is, this is a quote, completely ludicrous, unquote. And I'm only picking on Dr. Baker, but there's other guys who talk about this too. There's a guy named Dr. Paldino, I forgot his first name. He talks about this also. Dr. Baker says that it's a healthy body that makes a healthy microbiome, not the other way around. Healthy body makes your healthy microbiome. It's not a healthy microbiome that makes a healthy body. That just sounds silly to me. Of course a healthy microbiome makes a healthy body. The microbiome makes vitamins for you. The microbiome detoxifies food for you. The microbiome communicates with your cells. The microbiome communicates with the genetics of your cells. I don't understand why he says these things. And in all of his writings, I haven't seen him comment on the benefits of short-chain fatty acids. He never talks about the benefits of butyrate and the prebiotic effects of fiber. He always talks about epidemiology. His case is epidemiological. Epidemiology is the study of statistics and the study of demographics. He says, well, what he does is he knocks on. There was a guy named Dr. Dennis Burkett who researched indigenous cultures, and he found that these indigenous cultures, if they ate a lot of fiber, high ingestion of fiber by these indigenous cultures was correlated to healthy bowel functioning. And he says, oh, that's not true, and there's problems with epidemiology, and maybe that's the case. But the point about fiber is biochemical. It's not epidemiological. It has nothing to do with whether Dennis Burkett research was good or bad. The fact is there's biochemical benefits. There's a biochemical issue or a biochemical role for fiber in the body, not epidemiological. It doesn't matter whether cultures that eat a lot of fiber have larger stools and less colon cancer. That's irrelevant. The biochemistry of fiber is such that when bacteria eat the fiber, they release good stuff for you. And that's incontrovertible. For the life of me, I can't understand where I don't understand. I know he's a smart guy. He's got to be a smart guy. And that's why I want to get him on the program, so we can talk about this. All right. 844-236-6010 is our number. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lots of lines open for you. Mary Maduras will be with us at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about spiritual healing and creativity. She is a director and a producer from Hollywood, and she's become her spiritual guide. We'll have a conversation with her at the bottom of the hour. And if we have calls, we'll get to them this segment, 844-236-6010. So, we're talking about butyrate, absolutely stunningly valuable nutritional supplement, food fatty acid, I guess you could say. It's found in dairy products. Its main source is as a secretion from bacteria in the colon that eat fiber and release butyrate, in addition to other short-chain fatty acids, propionate and acetate, although butyrate's the one that gets all the press and all the research has been done on butyrate. For good reason. There's lots of derivatives. We're going to talk about a bunch of these derivatives in the coming days of butyrate that are very, very important for athletic performance and for mood enhancement, for sleep. Butyrate is just a fabulously, fabulously valuable molecule, and because it comes from fiber, that makes fiber really important, despite the fact that proponents of the carnivore diet they don't think fiber is important. And the reason they don't think fiber is important is because they're looking at it from an epidemiological perspective. That is, the cultures that eat fiber supposedly have better digestive tract functioning and less colon cancer. As it turns out, that might not be true. Dr. Dennis Burkett was the first guy to talk about this, and I think it was the 1950s or early 1960s. He studied indigenous cultures, and he noticed that ingestion of fiber was associated with healthy bowel functioning. More recently, that has come into that correlation, that association between fiber and colon functioning has come under question, or people are starting to doubt it. And because of that, Dr. Baker and also Dr. Paul Saldino is his first name, Paul Saldino, are on record as doubting the importance of fiber. What they're missing, in my humble opinion, is the biochemistry part. There's a biochemical aspect that is not being looked at. The idea that fiber is important usually focuses on the mechanical functions of fiber. That is, fiber's protection against diverticulosis and lipid reduction. These all have to do with the fact that fiber can sweep things out of the digestive tract. And fiber can chelate things. Lipids and fats can stick to fiber. That's definitely true. And you know, whether you think that's important or not is a whole other issue, but it's true that there's a mechanical function to fiber. And that's what these carnivore folks are sort of poo-pooing, no pun intended. They also talk about something called the healthy user bias. The healthy user bias says that the reason why fiber eaters have better health is because they're also eating they also tend to be healthier. They're exercising and they're doing other things that are healthy. That's called the healthy user bias. And that's what Dr. Baker and also Dr. Saldino used to explain the association between eating fiber and good health, because it's known that people who eat fiber have better health. So these guys say, well, it has nothing to do with the fiber. That's because they're living healthy lifestyles in general. And then I heard Dr. Saldino saying fiber may give you larger stools. That's also incontrovertible. Nobody can doubt that. But that doesn't mean you're not constipated. He says, and this is true, he says that constipation has nothing to do with the size of your stools. You could have large stools and still be constipated. That is true. And he also says that fiber isn't going to correct constipation. Yes, that's true. But if you have larger stools, whether or not you're constipated, you're still eliminating better. Bigger stools mean you're eliminating waste, and that's a good thing. Even if you're constipated, especially if you're constipated. There's so many ways you could just shoot down these theories, these kind of marginalization or dismissiveness, the dismissiveness of fiber as an important part of your diet. I just can't understand why these people, what they don't understand, what they don't get. Of course, Dr. Saldino and Dr. Baker, I'm sure they're very bright people. They're not biochemists. They're clinicians and they're also athletes, but they're not biochemists. The biochemical properties of fiber, the biochemistry of fiber, or maybe you could say the biochemical results of fiber ingestion, that's where the benefits come from. That's where the really good benefits come from. There are probably benefits that fiber has for detoxification, but the real benefits are in the biochemistry of fiber. And Dr. Baker and Dr. Saldino, I'm sure they're very smart. They're doctors. I know they're smart. And I'd like to get them on the program. If anybody knows, Rob, if you're listening, I can't get a hold of Dr. Baker. If you can get a hold of Dr. Saldino, my buddy Rob knows these people, I guess. I'd love to get them on the program. I want to hear what they have to say. And I also want to hear them talk about the idea of eating meat today. That's another thing that is not addressed in Dr. Baker's book, or I never hear these guys talk about on their videos, is the fact that meat is so corrupted. Hormones in meat and antibiotics in meat and how meat is processed. We're not hunting and gathering. We're not hunting meat. Nobody's going out and hunting, some people maybe, but most people are getting their meat at Safeway, King Soopers, and McDonald's, and Red Robin, and that's where most of us get our meat. And there's nobody that can say that kind of meat is healthy for you. Even Dr. Baker can't tell you that. So in any case, I want to hear how they address the importance of butyrate. I want to hear how they address the importance of detoxification. I want to hear how they address the big problem of the toxicity in meat. And I wouldn't mind talking to them about the importance of polyphenols, which are found in vegetables, and also vitamin C. So I got a lot of problems with the carnivore diet. I don't know if anybody out there is doing the carnivore diet. Not that you can't live, by the way, on just meat. That's been proven. Excuse me. You can live on just meat. And I think that might be what Dr. Baker and Dr. Saldino and these other carnivore folks are talking about. You can live on just meat. Absolutely. With the exception of vitamin C. I'm not sure how they get their vitamin C. There's no essential need for fiber. There's no essentiality to fiber. That is true. There's no essentiality that we know of. That's a caveat because there may be some essentiality, but that we know of to polyphenols and flavonoids and carotenes. There's no essentiality to these things, but that doesn't mean they're not helpful. That doesn't mean they're not beneficial. When it comes to butyrate, it's not necessarily essential, but it sure is helpful. And it's kind of ironic that a lot of these paleo or carnivore folks are big on the ketogenic diet. And one of the reasons the ketogenic diet works so well is because it produces butyrate derivatives. The ketogenic diet is the ideal carnivore diet in the sense that it's a butyrate diet. Now, ketogenesis is a low-calorie diet. That's true. And ketogenesis is more about fat than it is about protein. But nonetheless, the reason the ketogenic diet works is because it produces butyrate and butyrate-like derivatives, particularly one called BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is basically a butyrate ketone. And this beta-hydroxybutyrate is associated with performance, with athletic performance. So for athletes who are eating a lot of protein, you may want to also consider the ketogenic diet, which is not a high-protein diet. It's a high-fat diet, but it is a moderate protein diet. Certainly carnivore foods can be a very important part of a ketogenic diet. That is meat, basically meat and eggs. I suppose the carnivore diet also is an egg diet too. I can't say I know a lot about the carnivore diet, except that I know that it is, as the name implies, it's about carnivore. It's basically about meat. All right, 845. No, I guess not. We'll have Mary Maduras coming up in our next segment. We're going to talk about spiritual healing. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. We are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, and 24/7 on the archive page at benfuchsarchives.com. Also, we have an archive page at brightsideben.com. Search engines on both pages. If you miss a program or want to review a topic, go to brightsideben.com or benfuchsarchives.com and check out our search engine and archive page. You can also purchase longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. We've got news stories, blog posts, lots of good health information, all free stuff. And, of course, you can find the longevity products on our websites as well. And if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, just click on the Join the Team link, or you can call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products, all formulated by me, myself, in my compounding pharmacy for healing wounds. Healing wounds equals beauty. Healing acne, eczema, and psoriasis equals beauty because healing is beauty. Health is beauty, and that's what Truth treatments are all about. Truth Skin Health products are formulated without preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, water, silicone, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want. In any of our Truth Skin Health products, check out our 1,600 plus 4- and 5-star reviews at Truth Reviewed with a D, truthreviewed.com, and our Truth Skin Health products are available at Truth Treatments with an S, truthtreatments.com. Okay, I am looking forward to speaking to our guest today. Mary Maduras is an Akashic Records advanced practitioner in addition to being a director and a producer. She's worked for CBS, NBC, ABC. She's gotten Emmy Awards for direction and Directors Guild of America Award, and she's directed all kinds of soap operas, General Hospital, Another World, and also morning talk shows, This Morning with Gayle King and Charlie Rose, and the morning program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She's very, very well versed in television and directing and producing, but she's also an Akashic Records advanced practitioner. Please welcome to the Bright Side, Mary Maduras. Hello, Mary. Good morning.
Hi, Ben. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. So what the heck is an Akashic Records advanced practitioner?
Well, maybe we should talk about what the Akashic Records are.
Probably, yes.
Yes. Okay. So the Akashic Records this is a quantum energy that we're referring to here, a divine quantum energy. So the Akashic Records have been...
Can I just interrupt you there? What does that mean? To explain?
Well,
I don't know what that...
like quantum physics, like physics that, is beyond the physics that we learned growing up that we can see on paper. That we know that, like, for example, the fact that the new science shows us that our DNA, they accounted for, like, I think 3 or 4% of our DNA in laboratories, and then they called the other 96 junk DNA.
Junk, right.
And we're now learning that 96% contains in a maybe not seen under a microscope, so to speak, but it has a lot of powerful energy.
Yeah.
And identifies who we are, and it's something we can tap into. Anyway, that's
so when you say quantum, you're referring to like an invisible thing that we can't necessarily touch, but still has an impact. That's how you're relating quantum. Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Okay. So go ahead.
Sure. No, thank you. So basically, the Akashic Records, they're a dimension of consciousness, and they contain basically sort of we'll call it vibrational for right now, a vibrational record of every soul and its journey from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, okay? They've been around since the beginning of time, obviously, and in the very, very past thousands and thousands of years ago, the Akashic Records were only able to be accessed by mystics and those that were a little bit more high vibrational, we'll say, individuals, holy people, whatever, because their vibration was high enough, or they could raise their vibration, I guess, like Christ did in raising his consciousness to a level where then you can see and hear that field and that realm, okay? The reason that the Akashic Records appear to be more accessible these days, and we can access the information within them, is because the planet Earth itself has changed its vibration. We've expanded. Consciousness has expanded, and I think most people are hearing a lot more about this, so they'll agree. You can feel it. There's just more consciousness. And as the planet expands, the vibration raises. And some people refer to it as the veil is getting thinner, meaning we have an easier ability. It's easier to access the non-third dimensional realms in various ways. I mean, through psychic, which is different than the Akashic Records. Okay, so we have this dimension of consciousness that exists. Now, here's the thing that's really fun and neat and why it's a tool. That it's a body of knowledge that every single person, every soul has.
Has access to? Yeah. We can all access it.
Yes, we can all access it, exactly.
Can I just interrupt you real quick? Could you, when I think of everything you're saying, I think of like a cassette tape. And you know how like the information is on the cassette tape, it's recorded on the cassette tape in a way that you can't necessarily see, but you could play back. Is that kind of was that a good analogy?
That's a great analogy. I love that.
Okay.
Maybe I'll use that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's really good, Ben. Yeah, it is like that. And it's like, we don't know. I mean, you can't see it. You're right. But it's there. It exists. Now, what's really amazing is that body of knowledge, we can access that. This is where it becomes a tool for healing. So one soul, and of course there are two things that are important when working in the records. One is a belief in and a knowing of source. We'll call source, universe, God, whatever name we want to call it. But that amazing creator, and I say that even metaphorically, of this amazing planet and humanity. So the belief in that, and our own divine selves. And I love the word divine. I think it is a very broad word. Divine. We are divine beings. We already all are divine beings. And when we know that, we're more easily able to access that divine realm that contains all the information. And sometimes it's information about, sometimes we can access information about our past lives. That will come through sometimes if it's appropriate to what the person is wanting, what kind of healing and clarity they're wanting to get by accessing their own records, or working with a practitioner who then accesses the records with them. So it's this body of knowledge. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say, so it's a body of knowledge. And what's interesting, too, it contains everything that every soul's ever thought, said, and done over the course of its existence through all its lifetime. And that then presents future possibilities. So the possibilities come out of the knowing more of who we are as a soul.
So in your work, do you actually read somebody's records for them, or do you see what's happening for them, or do you help them access it themselves?
So what what happens is the process is with the permission of my client, I use a sacred prayer, and I open using their name. The reason the name activates, it opens the records, is because the name is like a signature in the quantum field. Our names are very important. Words are very important. Words have energy to them, which is why sacred tomes actually, people become activated when they read sacred texts and whatever. It's because the words actually contain knowledge, history, energy, all of that. So our names are that. So it's like we have a print, in a sense, that is our name. Are you still there?
Yeah, we have to take a break. You're hearing the music. We got to take a break. But when we come back, I want you to continue. We'll continue talking about your names, but I also want to talk about healing when we come back, physical healing, using these techniques. All right, Mary Maduras is with us, Akashic Records advanced practitioner, writer, and director. We'll be back with more of Mary Maduras on the bright side right after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side. We're talking to Mary Maduras about the Akashic Records. Mary's an Akashic Records advanced practitioner, as well as a writer and director and producer at in Hollywood, CBS, NBC, and ABC. You got quite the resume here, Mary, by the way.
Thank you.
So I want to hear some more about this idea of names, and then then we'll dive into some healing ideas.
Sure. Okay. So our names contain, because words have power, as we were saying earlier. So our names are how we open our records. So when I'm working with a client, the client is coming and bringing into their consciousness, as I say the prayer, what things they're looking for clarity on, what's going on in their lives, why they want to be opening their records to begin with. So really what's happening is I'm opening that person's records, and there are these sort of the overseers of each of our records. They're light energies. They're not ghosts or spirits. They're energies. And these light energies, these light forms are, it's an entourage. And the entourage moves forward, I'll say. It's energy. Now we're talking energy, and it's divine energy. And as the person speaks, we literally have a discussion with their records open on what their concerns are, right? So they'll ask questions, whatever clarity they're looking for. And I hear blocks of thought. So the quantum sends me blocks of thought, sometimes images, but more often it's thought words that then they trigger that person to move into their own divine space and be reminded of who they are. So in a sense, they're having a dialogue with the divine aspect of themselves through me. That's really what's happening 100% of the time.
Can you teach somebody? Can you teach somebody to do it themselves? Like somebody who's listening right now, can you teach them to do it themselves? So the way I learned was I started just studying from the books of Linda Howe, and I was. Is that Linda Moulton Howe? Is that Linda Moulton Howe?
No, Linda Moulton Howe, who I also love. This is the other UFologist. No, yeah. This is Linda Howe. She runs a Center of Akashic Studies out of Chicago. She's been doing it for years. And I gravitated towards her. It's just how it works. We all come to certain healers because we're supposed to, I guess. It feels right. And so I began studying with her and through her center, and that's where I got my accreditation. So in her work, and it is the way it works, it's not about teaching about it. It's about we begin to, first of all, understand what this is about, and then we begin to open our own records through the sacred prayer. I mean, it is that simple. I think it comes what we get from it will come from how much we really know it to be true. Now, the other maybe possibility that somebody might not be able to open their records would be that maybe there's a lot of wounds that they've got, whether it's from past lives or from childhood, right? And what we get to do, and quite often what happens is we bring forward that my client will bring forward a wound, or something will trigger them to speak about something. And so, again, they're triggering themselves through the divine aspect of themselves. But I'm being shown it, or I'm being encouraged to use certain languaging, words, phrases that are coming from their own records, and then they begin to sort of bring forward something, right? What's the healing part, we can move right into the healing part. What happens is, in traditional therapies, that at least I've experienced growing up, what happens is we'll zero in on something that was trauma, let's say, or an awful thing that happened, and we shine a light on it and we bang around it, and it, Abraham Hicks talks about this, it activates it and reactivates it. In the records, what we do is we look at it from this space, this divine space that we're already in when the records are open. It's a beautiful space. You can feel it. And the divine shows us the values of what happened. It doesn't say to us, oh, it's good that you had a horrible childhood. No. But what it does is it lets us, Linda uses the word mine, M-I-N-E. We get to mine that experience and look at its energy, and then it transmutes into something it becomes an asset in our present life. It just transmutes. Now, some of this work is not able to be explained logically or from the mind, from the third dimensional mind, because it's divine. And it just is. All I can tell you is my experience keeps me doing this because of all the healing that I witnessed that happens as the energies transmute. And then what happens is the transmutation of those energies that were, let's say icky when we were, if we're talking about this childhood, sometimes it's a past life, they begin to shift and change within the actual reading. It's really awesome. And they become like, oh, now I know why, blah, blah, blah. They become ahas, which means it's already shifting. And then that relates to physical healing as well. Not that it's funny, we have that term spontaneous healing. I find it interesting that Western doctors, they're like, that's an anomaly.
Yeah, right.
When somebody just spontaneously heals. Well,
right.
we don't really know what's going on. But what can happen is once we have an awareness that we are whole, divine beings of love, everything falls into place, our cells, everything. And then we gravitate naturally when we're in that space to the right supplements, healing things, modalities, whatever, right? If we're needing to sort of balance even more or stay in balance. Because it's really tough on our planet. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think dis-ease is a result of some kind of fragmentation, like not recognizing parts, not recognizing certain parts of ourselves?
Yes, part of that, yes. It is usually, in fact, what I hear from the records consistently is that it's when we move away from knowing that we are divine beings. Divine is very powerful. Divine beings. We are whole divine light beings always. Nobody is any less light than anyone else. And once we know that, when we gravitate away from that, that's when things start to get a little gnarly and weird. It could be disease, it could be psychological problems, it could be addiction. I mean, when we're off our soul's path, because now we're not talking about our soul's path, which we should probably talk about. But is there an aspect of ourselves that we're missing with disease? Yes. You're dancing around the same thing. Yes.
What do you mean by soul?
That we're
go ahead.
So we're dancing around the fact that we really are okay. It's really what came to me when I was sitting waiting for your call was my mother, who's on the other side. I was very close with her. She used to say to me, like, as a kid, we'd be outside and we'd fall and get hurt. And whenever I got hurt, she would just say, stop thinking about it. Think about something else. And, my leg could be bleeding, and she'd be like, just think about something else.
I use that a lot. I use that a lot myself, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, like if something's bothering me, because you can only think one thought at a time. And so whatever, right? So if you think something else, you're not thinking. So, and there's a certain volition, not 100%, but there's some volition you have in the thoughts you think, don't you think?
Yes, I do think that, yes. We also have the whole aspect of ego and the tricky ego that Eckhart Tolle talks about all the time. It is a real tricky little monster.
It's tricky. Yeah. And the pain body. Do you know about the pain body? Do you talk about the pain body? Oh, yes,
absolutely. And that's the ego. And there's a collective ego on the planet right now.
Right.
So, it's like a soup, But anyway, so we do, when we recognize, when we feel and know that we're divine, and here's one way to know we're divine, to be in nature. Because here's the thing, we have it in some way, shape, or form. We all have it, access to it. Is that when we recognize something that's beautiful on our planet, we would not be able to recognize it in its beauty if we were not that beauty to begin with.
Absolutely,
right?
Truth and beauty. Truth goodness, beauty, and truth are like the primal three aspects of divinity, according to Plato and the great philosophers. They all go together.
Yep.
Truth
right.
is beauty, and beauty is truth. Have you heard of Shinrin-yoku? I think that's how you say it. The Japanese forest bathing. Shinrin-yoku.
No.
I think it's called forest bathing.
I just heard that yesterday. Somebody mentioned it yesterday. Yep.
They'll write a prescription.
Yes.
Japanese doctors will write a prescription for you to go lay in the forest, lay on the ground if you're depressed or you have some kind of illness, because there's negative ions there, and there's lots of electrons, and so there's some science there too. Go ahead.
Oh, Gaia is amazingly powerful.
Gaia is amazing.
She's the essence of divine itself, and it's interesting that you use the word prescription, because the Akashic Records tell everyone, recommend to everyone to be in nature as much as possible, especially because the planet is so going through so much right now. We'll just say that. We all know that.
We're out of time. We're out of time, Mary. It's been very, very interesting stuff you got there. Hope you'll come back on.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're doing great work. Thank you for being on the bright side. I appreciate it. That's Mary Madura. And what's the website, Mary? What's your website, real quick?
Website, www.spirittherapybymary.com.
Spirittherapybymary.com. Thanks for being on the bright side, Mary.
All right,
have a great day.
Ben.
All right, that's all the time we have for today on the bright side. Thanks for listening, friends. I am Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.